All right, welcome back into the program. I mean, look, as we go into the holiday season, there's a lot of cheer, there's a lot of joy. It's a season for giving, but we're seeing giving, especially in the food department, kind of go down across the board. Food insecurity is creeping to what's really an all-time high, and many of the same folks that year over year seem to donate food, in many cases, are the same folks that are in line to try and get some food. That's a byproduct of inflation, of job insecurity. And if you've been through these grocery stores lately and seen the prices of food, good grief. I mean, buying extra food to give away certainly might not be high on the list. Joining us is CEO of Crossroads Community Services, Benaye Wadkins Chambers. Benaye, thanks so much for coming on the program today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Chris.
So, Benaye, this is not a new issue, and we certainly know that this is a round-the-calendar issue, not just when it comes to the holiday season. But why, in your estimation, is the food insecurity percentage gone up so much? Is it just inflation?
No, it's really more than inflation. There are a couple of things that have happened, Chris. One, we have to realize that a lot of major companies have, for a varied number of reasons, had significant layoffs in the last 6 months. And those employees, were living paycheck to paycheck, many of them digging themselves out of the financial debt they incurred during their non-working days of COVID. And on top of that, in digging out, they're dealing with inflation. And with the cost of food being 25% higher today than it was 4 years ago, it's just too expensive. And so those folks are now back out of work trying to make basic needs and ends meet. And food tends to be the one thing that gets skipped. And it's quite often, and for many people dealing with chronic illnesses, especially, not the thing that they need to be skipping, or they don't need to be eating foods that aren't nutritious, which, that just contributes to other health issues, and the cycle continues.
Sure. And it may be speculation, but we see more of these headlines certainly around Thanksgiving and Christmas time. Christmas time in particular, I wonder if there's any correlation between folks that have to kind of make a binary choice. Do I buy a couple of gifts? There's a little bit more expensive season to begin with. Are they put in a position where they're choosing sometimes between, really stocking the pantry and having a Christmas season? Is that why we see some of these headlines really, populate November, December?
Well, I think that is part of it, too. We have to remember that everyone wants to experience the holiday season. We can't just assume that just because someone might be low to moderate income that they should forego the desire to want to give their families the same things that we all get to experience. And so sometimes they are making those choices. But what I really want people to know is happening is kids are out of school. So right now, back in the day, you were only out of school for Thanksgiving and the day after. Maybe at Christmas, you were out for 4 or 5 days. But now children are out of school the entire week of Thanksgiving, most schools, and some schools are out the Friday even before that week starts. And then at Christmas, I know my son is out of school almost 2.5 weeks this year because of how Christmas and New Year's Day falls on a weekday. And so now you've got another time of year that not only, are we seeing higher food costs, overall inflation, I might be having job, issues, income issues, but I'm also now have kids who are out of school and have gone from needing maybe 1 meal a day to needing 3 meals a day in the middle of a time when funds are low. And so we see that peak really happening for, all of those reasons. And one of the most significant ones is kids are out of school again, and we're trying to provide meals all day long.
Sure. And those kids like to eat. They can empty out a refrigerator faster than anybody alive, can't they?
Yes. And, to assume that, they're not going to do that is not true. And so even to just have the basic things available for them. And then if parents are working, Chris, they're home. And so they need things that are safe for them to make if mom has to go to work and is leaving the house with children at home. What are some of those safe food items? So at this time of year, we also ask people to consider, microwavable, healthy, nutritious items. There are some. So that the kids who are home while parents are still working are able to feed themselves and even feed their siblings,
Sure.
who now they're responsible for while the parents are away at work.
Yeah, Benaye, I'm sure you can speak to the logistics of the operation that you run. We have some in our own state, Gleaners, and some others, big food banks. Often it seems to me that logistics might get in the way. If I were to say, I really need to remember to go down to the supermarket, get a bunch of extra canned goods and drop them off. That's a few extra steps in my day, so on and so forth. Have we gotten to the point with many of the food banks and community service centers like yours, where you can also just make donations and that community center does some of the purchasing on your behalf?
Absolutely. In fact, that's actually better because we have a higher and a more significant buying power. So here at Crossroads, $1 can actually create 4 meals, which is about 25 pounds of food. So you could donate 25 pounds of food, which is going to cost you more than it will cost us. So if you give us $50, that's 4 meals times every dollar. That's 200 meals that we're making, not 200 individual cans of food, but actual meals,
Right.
And for a family. So we really encourage, and for many of your food banks and food organizations, we call them dollar drives. That $1, $10, $50, and on up is going to do so much more for us because we have a larger purchasing power to be able to get those things at cost or below cost than some of the donations.
Yeah.
And a lot of agencies have links to some of your major big box stores where you can actually go online and order it, and they deliver it directly to the organization. And so I would encourage, looking at either making that financial donation or finding out if they have a relationship with one of the stores that, they can put a wish list on there, you can order it, and then it sends it direct to the organization.
Super. Yeah, that's I'm glad we had that part of the conversation because Americans last year gave the lowest percentage of disposable income to charity in the last 30 or so years. That certainly is a reflection of the inflationary struggle that everyone's seeing. But often when I see the advertisements, at least locally, most of them are centered around food drives. And I'm not a lazy guy, but I certainly have a lot going on, right? Too many kids and too many bills and a whole lot on my schedule. So if you're telling me that actually my 25 or my $50 would be spread, basically multiplied 3 times as well, if I gave you the money because you're the expert, your operation there. And I'm sure that's true to all of the ones in Michigan too. Benaye, where is your operation?
Our operation is out of Dallas, and we're part of the Feeding America network along with our local food bank, the North Texas Food Bank. So that is absolutely the case in all food banks. I'm 100% sure you can go to their websites and they'll tell you, how you can make those donations and what the impact they'll be. But I'm also 100% sure that their buying and purchasing power is greater with your $25 and mine than we're going to have success at the grocery store.
Absolutely. So. Well, Benaye, thanks so much for joining the program. We appreciate the work that you're doing. And I tell you what, as soon as we get off the line, I'm going to rally the troops on our end to see if we can really, light up the bills at our places and get some people fed because it's a scary time anyway, but certainly it's worse if you're hungry.
It sure is. And I thank you so much, Chris. And just, congratulations to you guys and for talking about this. And I wish you all the success.
Great. Thanks very much, Benaye. Have a Merry Christmas.
You do the same. Bye-bye.